Hello and welcome to day 4 of the Puro Joshi Advent Calendar here on this channel. My name is Peps and today we're opening another door into the world of Japanese pro wrestling in 2025 as we are taking a look at the year of Marigold. Marigold is a company that doesn't even exist for full 2 years yet, came, in my opinion at least, of a rough ending to 2024, especially momentum and attendance-wise, and needed to regain the momentum heading into 2025, which is an important year to establish themselves as the top company in Joshi Pro Wrestling. In this video, I will be covering how the promotion shifted throughout the year, the major events, the roster changes, the title scenes, the booking decisions, and finally, what I personally hope from the promotion heading into 2026. So let's don't waste any more time and jump straight into it. We start off with the roster changes over the year, and the roster gained and lost several wrestlers over the course of 2025, with the big departure, of course, being none other than Mirai, who left the company in October of the year. And it was a surprising, kind of at least surprising departure, as Mirai was one of the founding members of Marigold, one of the members that jumped from Stardom to have a new home in Marigold together with Julia, Mai Sakurai, Utami Hayashishita, and Victoria Yuzuki. And everyone who knows Mirai and knows how she has acted in her career knows that her leaving a promotion is not really a surprising thing. She started under Takamichi Noku in the Kentai Dojo, then left the promotion to join TJPW, left the promotion to join Stardom, left the promotion to join Marigold, and now leaves Marigold to join Michinoku Pro. It's surprising in many ways if you think about it. It's not really that surprising if you think about that, but still it is, because she felt like always an important part of the roster and an important part of the identity that Marigold is trying to tell to the audience. So her leaving was always going to be a big loss for the company, not only on the shows itself as a strong in-ring worker, but also behind the scenes as a veteran who has already wrestled on all these shows, on these big shows, and can lead the very young roster that Marigold has to greatness, in my opinion. She was one, I believe it was in an interview that she helped to train, of course, the roster, which we'll come to later in the stylistic part of things. We have seen her influence. So her leaving was a big loss. Other departures featured Nao Yamada and Ryoko Sakimura. Ryoko was a rookie that debuted at the end of last year. She was struggling with a lot of mental health, according to her own blog. And she was a wrestler that, in my opinion, wasn't really protected that well by the company. But also, at least that is how I interpret it, was someone that has been struggling with a lot of things herself. She was really a strong in-ring worker. She got a lot of backlash on social media for pretty much everything she was doing. Then she decided to leave the company, is now doing some indie work. I believe she wrestled on a promotion in Osaka, where also, funny enough, Kizuna Tanaka was like a thing. I think it's something from 2.5 Joshi, but I'm unsure. It was definitely a very weird, it's a weird company, but yeah, she's wrestling now there and with Euro and something like that. The other wrestler who, of course, mentioned was now Yamada, which is sad that she's leaving. She tore her ACL in January, has been out since, and then decided, okay, I'm going to leave the company. We haven't heard from her since on social media. She has deactivated all her social media accounts, and sadly, it looks like she's retiring from pro wrestling, which sucks because she was one hell of the talent, a clue to the, at that point, struggling undercard who was able to get a solid match out of every talent they put her against. And she's someone that would have profited if she stayed healthy and stayed in the company. And I think she's one that I would say, okay, it doesn't really matter from storyline perspective that she's gone, but from a quality perspective in the cards, it was definitely noticeable for a bit. On the other side, the additions to the Marigold roster have been perfect 10 out of 10. We have, of course, the big name, the icon of Joshi Pro Wrestling, Mayu Iwatani, who joined the company May after leaving Stardom following All-Star Con Queen in 2025, where she dropped the IWGP Women's title to Shuri, and she has been a slam dunk signing. She was always going to join Marigold and Rossi Ogawa. That was obvious from day one. Everyone knew it. She knew it. Rossi knew it. Stardom knew it. Everyone had figured it out. And when she joined, she instantly became the best wrestler in the company, the most consistent wrestler in the company. What she has been doing with the Superfly belt has been awesome. Every match she has, every big match she has been great. She just delivers. It's Mayu Iwatani. What do I need to say? Why Mayu Iwatani is such a great talent? I'm sorry. It's Mayu Iwatani. Her 2025 has been featured, has been mostly about helping young wrestlers grow. And as her Superfly title defenses have been mainly against young, unexperienced wrestlers. We are talking about winning the belt from Victoria Yuzuki, Arina Yamanaka, Siri Yamaoka, the recent defense against Koko, who's 15 years old. The next defense is against Hummingbird in 2 days when this video is coming out in Sapporo. A lot of her goal has been, okay, I'm going down the card and help the young talents to improve rather than just being on top of the promotion, which she easily could have done. The other 3 additions have been debuts, with Yuka Yamasaki being maybe the least important one, but she has been great as a rookie. A Swiss knife, in my opinion, who you can just slot in against anyone on the card, and she works fantastically. She has trained more or less with the Osaka Pro people, which is why the Nanima Mad Dog has been getting a lot of support from the wrestlers in Osaka. A very young talent. I think we will hear a lot about her, but she, of course, let's be real, can't keep up in terms of the hype with the other 2 rookie debuts, because we have Shino Umukai, the daughter of the legendary Rossi Ogawa prospect Michiko Umukai in Arceon. She's 16 years old, and she's straight up fantastic. A wrestler that just gets it. And her debut match against Mai Sakurai ranks very high on my list as one of the best debut matches I've seen for a wrestler. She just can hit hard. She just can do it all. And her not her exploder. Her Uranage suplex is just incredible. The young egoist is going to be a massive star in this company. And I've been saying this for a while, and others, shout out to the Stardom Quest people, Dylan and Alex here. She's going to win the white belt once she turns 18. It's super obvious, in my opinion. This is one to watch. And if we're talking about additions, maybe the biggest rookie addition to any promotion this year is Sari Yamaoka. 18 years old, the super rookie debuted in a 22-minute match against Mirai and has been a standout talent since. The first wrestler to beat Mayu Iwatani in a straight-up match, won a title together with Nanai Takahashi. After around 25 days or so as a wrestler in a fantastic Curtain Hall main event against a team of Bozil and Tang that wasn't really working so far. She has been getting a lot of singles outings. If it's against Chihiro Hashimoto, if it's against Utami, if it's against Nanai Takahashi, and in every single one of them, she looked great. She's a talent people know is great, and she's a talent that people just know she's going to be one of the top stars in the future of Marigold. It's very obvious that she's going to become the next ace of the company. It's only a matter of time when she's actually getting the chance to do so. Of course, it's kind of a departure, but also not. I mentioned Nanai Takahashi. She, of course, retired at the first anniversary show, Shine Forever, in the main event against Mika Ano. She was, of course, just fantastic in Marigold, in my opinion. Her best run in the last couple of years. She was just out there doing great matches after great matches after great matches. But you noticed towards the end of the run, when her body was slowly giving up, that it was time to go. And it's sad, but I can understand it in some way. In 2025, Marigold had 3 big pay-per-view events. The first being Marigold First Dream on January 3rd in Ottawa, which was main evented by the, in my opinion, very good world title match between Sareee and Utami Hayashishita. Under that, we had the Marigold United national title match between Mai Sakurai, who won the belt from Miku Aono, and other matches, including the debut of Sareee Yamaoka against Sareee, Victoria Yuzuki defeating Natsumi Shosuke to win the Superfly belt, and much more. In my opinion, it was the weakest of the 3 shows, and you noticed the weaknesses of early Marigold the most in it. You had 2 matches with the Twin Star title match between Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki against Bozilla Tang that kind of was really not good. And the unlucky thing happened, of course, in the G2 women's title match with Koki and Chika Goto in the third from the top match, where Koki injured her knee around 5 minutes in, leading to the match to end early and abrupted, which sadly flattened a lot of the card, in my opinion, and made this show okay, but also put them in a situation where they needed to stand out on the following 2 shows. And in my opinion, they did, especially with the Marigold Shine Forever, a glory celebration on May 24th one. This is, in my opinion, maybe the best Marigold show of all time. It just had everything that you needed. It had the great matches, it had the emotional side, it had importance and stakes. We had, of course, in the opener, the debut of Shino against Mai Sakurai, which was just fantastic. For a debut match, for what it was, I said it before when we talked about Shino, just great. Then we have, of course, had in the undercard the typical stuff with the Koki return match. It was fine. The Dark Revolution tag, which was also fine. And in my opinion, the sleeper highlight on the show was a 10-man tag team match, elimination match between Team Marigold against Team Marvelous. The feud that has been kind of going through all of Marigold all year just has been working fantastically. In my opinion, helped, especially the undercard, names like Rhea Seto, Hummingbird, Komomi Minami, now Ishikawa to get to do something. And this just worked well. And Rhea Seto was the one picking up the huge win here coming off the pay-per-view. A big moment for her. You noticed that during the match as well, how important it was for her to pick up the win for her Marigold side against the Team Marvelous. That was a great one. Same for Takumi Roha facing Sareee Yamaoka. That was fun. Takumi, of course, entering as this big ace figure from Marvelous against the young rookie from Marigold and Sareee Yamaoka. So the dynamic was instantly clear, and it just worked well for the 10 minutes. And then the top 3 was just straight up fantastic. Yuzuki versus Mayu Utami had one of the best sub 10-minute matches I've seen all year. The fast pace, the next level insaneness between those two, as well as Mayu Utami winning her first title in Marigold after just 20 days was just great. Murai versus Utami was, in my opinion, the best Utami defense we had. 16 minutes, the perfect length, and it just went all the way. It was fantastically done. Just bomb fights after bomb fights, exactly what both of them can do the best. Can't complain here. And the main event, the emotional send-off for Nanae Takahashi against Miku Aono, who puts over Miku Aono in like 25 minutes as Miku pinned Nanae Takahashi with the 1-second X, which is the original finisher of Nanae Takahashi. Just fantastic. Like, this is retirement matches in Joshi are just out of this world. There's nothing like it. If we will talk about the one in Stardom, of course, later in the Puro Joshi Advent Calendar. But this one was just wrestling-wise incredible. One of my favorite Joshi matches all year. If you haven't seen it, just watch it. The aftermath, of course, had the retirement ceremony of Nanae Takahashi, including a little gauntlet match where people who haven't faced her yet were able to face her, like Koki, Moe Nakaishi, her former tag team partner Momonana. Then we had Senka coming in because she's just Senka, Sareee, and of course, maybe the surprise with Yumiko Hata. Then the last pay-per-view Marigold had in 2025 was Marigold Grand Destiny on October 26th in the legendary Sumo Hall. In my opinion, I would put it in the middle of the two. It was, of the 3 pay-per-views, it was a very good show, and the last 4 matches were just incredible. Do I need to say anything about Mayu Iwatani versus Io Sky? It's Mayu Iwatani versus Io Sky. These two are just incredible. They have fantastic chemistry, and they will just kill it. I have heard conflicted things about the Utami versus Mika Ono world title match that Mika Ono eventually won. I thought it was a very good match, not great match, which is kind of sadly the state Utami's in 2025 in singles outings. I thought they did a well enough job to make Miku Ono look like the absolute top star of this company, which she now is with the red belt. She defeated Utami with her own finisher, and Utami hasn't wrestled since due to a neck injury that she likely suffered during the Guerrero special that was kind of botched, or like the liner was really bad from Utami. The second best match of the night was the Marigold national title match, as Victoria Yuzuki, at just 19 years of age, not even 2 years into her career, wins the white belt from Mai Sakurai in a outstanding match. This was everything I want from these two. Just straight up slaps. Mai Sakurai has been tremendous this year, and this was her peak. Everything she did in this match was just great. She gets it. Yuzuki, of course, then wins the belt. Now has the second singles title in her career just at the age of 19. The sky's the limit for her. A totally different match was worked to round up the top 4 between Chihiro Hashimoto and Seru Yamaoka. Just 12 minutes of straight up wrestling excellence, with both being super smart at what they're doing with the grappling, and one hell of a finish with Hashimoto just locking Seru down so she can't escape the pinning attempt. It was just straight up great. And if you love this typical grappling, mad wrestling, this is one for you. The rest of the card was really fun. Shina vs Kizuna Tanaka with their mothers, with Yuma Fukawa for Kizuna and Michiko Umukai for Shino being ringside, was great. Suzuki vs Megaton was a fun surprise match. Sarii vs Chika Goto was really good. Chika Goto is a wrestler we will talk about also on this channel on another day. Magenta versus Darkness Revolution for the Marigold Twins titles was a really fun match, with Chiaki Misa winning the belt, Chiaki becoming the first wrestler to hold a belt twice in Marigold as a 2-time tag team champion. Rounds up a really good card that I really enjoyed. Going over to the title scenes, Marigold has 4 titles that all had title switches over the years, with the Superfly Twin Star United National World title. I would say we jump in with the Superfly belt that started with Natsumi Shosuke holding the belt as she dropped the belt on January 3rd to Victoria Yuzuki, who held in the belt for 131 days, defended it against various wrestlers. I especially enjoyed the match against Misa Matsui that she had in Shinjuku Face. I liked the match against Rhea Seto that they had, but they had 2 better matches better than that later in the year. And then she, of course, dropped it to Mayu Iwatani, who holds it since with over 190 days, multiple defenses, and mentioned the names Misa Matsui, Seru Yamaoka, Koko, Irina Yamanaka, and next Hummingbird to break, likely the defense record for Natsumi Shosuke. She has been off one hell of a run. It's Mayu Iwatani. She just does 3.5 stars plus matches in your sleep. I'm interested to see how her run ends, because I'm unsure if she even drops it or just vacates it. I hope she drops it and does the 4 for someone. And it's going to be interesting. Her role with the belt has been helping to elevate young talents in bigger spots, and that is exactly kind of what Marigold really needs, because the undercard has been improving, but they just don't get the shots really to show that. Moving on to the Twin Star title. At the beginning of the year, we had Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki holding the belts, dropping it to Bozilla and Tang in a really bad match. Bozilla and Tang didn't hold the belts for too long either. 16 days, dropped it then to Nane Takahashi in the Super Rookie Seru Yamaoka in a great Curtain Hall main event. They then held it for 119 days, including defenses against Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki at the Curtain Hall show. That was just fantastic, in my opinion. That was a great match. Then maybe the best tag team match in Japan for a tag team title all year for some. The tag team title match between Nanae Takashi, Seru Yamaoka against Senka Katsuki and Takumi Iroha at Korakuen Hall show on March 30th. This was just straight up insane. And then their last successful defense against Joaquin Misamatsui, who are now the current champions, before they dropped the belt to Magenta in Osaka, which is Maria Riko Kawahata of Marvelous, which made the entire situation around the Marigold versus Marvelous feud at that point really interesting. Maria and Riko Kawahata held the belts for 169 days, only defended it once. It was a really weird run in my opinion, and kind of a low point for the tag belts that had just a strong title run under Seru Yamaoka and Nana Takahashi. Maria and Riko only defended it against Jan Yota and Mai Sakurai in a solid Korakuen Hall match that was built to lead to a Mai Sakurai versus Riko Kawahata match for the white belt. They eventually dropped it, as mentioned earlier, at Grand Destiny to Chiaki Misamatsui, who are now the current champions, and defended it once against Seru Yamaoka and Yuzuki in a really good tag team title match that had a good runtime with nearly 20 minutes, maybe a bit too long, but I enjoyed it still. Overall, I would say the tag belts have been up and down this year so far. They started off really strong. Well, they started off at a low with Dark Revolution and Bozilla stuff, and then under the reign of Nanae and Seri was on a high, that was on a level where it was the best thing in the company. Then it kind of fell off again, and now it's picking up again with Chiaki Misamatsui, in my opinion. Then we got the United National Championship. Started off with Miku Aono holding it and dropping it on January 3rd to Mai Sakurai. Mai Sakurai held it then for most of the year, defending it an amount of time, six amount of times successfully against Nagisa Nozaki, Jan Yota, Rina Yamanaka, Misamatsui, Chika Kota, and Riko Kawahata before dropping it in the fantastic match against Victoria Yuzuki. I love the Mai Sakurai run. I think she got the most out of a lot of inexperienced talents with Irina, with Jan Yota, with Chika Kota, and had fantastic matches with Misa, Miku, and Victoria Yuzuki to establish herself as one of the top workhorses and top stars in all of Marigold. Yuzuki has defended it so far once against Rhea Seto at a Shinjuku Face show. That was a really good match. It didn't really hit the heights of the Dreamstar GP match, which is one of my favorite matches of Marigold all year. That was straight up fantastic, the 15-minute time limit draw. But it had a different approach with a lot of the leg work and everything. And now the next defense for Yuzuki is on December 6th in 2 days against Misamatsui, where we will likely find out who the challenger is for the next pay-per-view. I hope so, at least, because it's time to set things up. Overall, I would say the United National Belt was the most consistent in all of Marigold this year. It just had really no low point, a dominant champion, and now a young champion that is leading the charge into a good 2026, hopefully, for the belt. Then we had the world title. Sari held it at the beginning, dropped it also on first stream to Utami, and then Utami held it also for most of the year. Utami's run had defenses against Tank, we will forget about this, Bozilla, Mirai, a 56 double KO against Takumi Iroha, and then of course dropped it to Miku Aono. A mixed run in my opinion. I liked the Mirai match a lot. I thought the Sari match was a great match for her to win the belt. Same for the Miku Aono match to lose the belt with the middle stretches. The Tank one was just straight up bad. I still don't get why they gave her that defense. The Bozilla match was good, but I felt like it had left things to be desired. I don't know what exactly it was, but something was just missing there. And the Iroha match had a lot of good directions, and they had a lot of stuff that I liked, but also it went 56 minutes to a non-finish, and I don't think the finish was done well. I don't know. really weird match looking back to, right? Like, people just kind of forgot about it, which is kind of sad because it felt like a match. Okay, we need to have this kind of match to have some buzz, but it didn't really work. Mika Ono is now the champion. She had a special singles match against Chika Goda on the last Kirk and Hold show. That was a non-title match that I really enjoyed. And I think she presents herself as champion really well from a character standpoint and feels much more important in the booking and in Marigold than Utami did as champion so far. I really am looking forward to her run. Then, to end the first part of the video, we are talking about the house style and how the house style of Marigold changed over the years. And in my opinion, this is an interesting part of the video, as the house style of Marigold went through a couple of changes in the first 18 months or so of the promotion existence. And it started very Stardom-ish light. And I don't mean it as an insult, it's just how it came over. Okay, we are a lot of Stardom wrestlers, so we wrestle like Stardom. But in the beginning of the year, and it transitioned a lot more technically in the ring, especially on the undercard as well, way to help the young talents rookies, where at that point really struggling to find their footing in the ring and to gain the confidence to have more complicated matches. And that seemed to be with Mirai as the helm of the training, as far we've found out due to interviews coming out later. With Mirai leaving, it felt like that shortly before, the style transitioned more back to where it was a year ago, with young talents using what they have learned under the training of Mirai, but imply that into more complicated matches, which obviously leads to more mistakes from the wrestlers itself, but also to a high volume of action more on the undercard rather than just grappling. Personally, I enjoy the technical side of the company the most so far. I think matches like Minami versus Nagisa Tachibana on a house show in, I think it was Sapporo in May, live from seeing the improvement on the mat in the early stage of the matches, rather than the high octane, even though it's not really high octane moveset, but the high action pace stuff that they are trying to employ now. And that is kind of exactly what you want from young rookies, right? You want them to stand out not only in the respective company with the style, but compared to the other scene. And that is why I enjoyed the style that Mirai and the coaching staff tried to give to the talents. And they seemingly used that really well. Rhea Seto, for example, builds a lot of her matches now around limb work, which is something you don't see many wrestlers at that young experience do. And it works for me, in my opinion at least. Like, her limb work action in the United National title match against Victoria Yuzuki was great. She's one of the standouts in terms of implying what she has been taught. Moving on to the second part of the video, the booking trends. And there we are talking about the big storylines. And if we talk about big storylines, we need to talk about Marvelous versus Marigold, which was a great interpromotional feud that not only gave the main eventers, Utami, Iroha, Mika Ono, Mai Utani, something to do, but it went through the entire card. Wrestlers like, I mentioned her before, Rhea Seto or Chika Goda had their first real breakout performances on a bigger Marigold stage in these matches, were able to sink their teeth in and gain something from it, especially Chika Goda. Her entire rise over 2025 started with the Marvelous feud. People should remember that. There was the fantastic gauntlet match in April where Chika Godo captained the Marigold team, came out at the end to face Takumi Roha, had the fantastic entrance where she didn't do the Achika, Kochika, Gochika, but instead was locked in and had the entire crowd on her feet backing her, facing the ace of Marvelous. And that is one of the best moments in all of Marigold this year, because it was real, it felt real, the emotions were just there. It was straight up incredible, in my opinion, and something to point out to when you're talking about great storytelling this year. But also, of course, it left some things desired, in my opinion, like Utami versus Iroha not delivering as much as you want to, even though I still liked the match at some point to some degree, but it wasn't that banger that you would expect such a big time double title match to deliver to. And things like teasing Mayu versus Mio Momonono for the Superfly belt, and then just not doing it in July. That was kind of weird as an example. Or kind of dropping Magenta out of the booking cycle when they become tag champions, which kind of made the reign mean nothing, or some things like that. Personally, it's still the best storyline Marigold has put out in 2025, and is one that people who maybe haven't seen much of Marigold, which I'm sure there are a lot, should at least check out. Like, there were a ton of matches between in Marigold and in Marvelous that people should just watch because they were just great. The biggest winners of Marigold's 2025 are, in my opinion, 3 names. The first name is the current United National Champion Victoria Yuzuki, who entered the year as a young talent that was kind of lacking the momentum, just winning her first singles belt, and now ends the year as a United National Champion that is well deserved, with some of the best Marigold matches all year, with her facing, for example, Mai Sakurai, which is, of course, a match I always point out to. Then her matches against Rhea Seto, the fantastic match against Mai Watani on the Dreamstar TP show, the match against Naoya Takahashi in March, and of course the tag team outings together with Utami. A lot of her matches have been just great. She has been getting consistent. She has been showing out, and she gets the big wins here always. And it is exactly what you kind of want from her in 2025, when Rossi decided to give her the role as the 20-year-old. And she has been delivering, she has been saying out, and she has been proving it right. The other name that I need to talk to, and I think everyone who has been following me to social media and also kind of listened to the video knows which name is coming out, is Mai Sakurai. What a wrestler. What a goddamn wrestler. She has developed from a solid hand to a legit star, and she's now heading into a direction where I need to say, I think the red belt is possible for her, and it would be well deserved. She has been developing as a star to perfection. Everything she does, how she carries herself, how she wrestles, her promos, how she is acting with her storytelling is just incredible. And she's a wrestler that everyone, in my opinion, should look at as not only one of the most improved wrestlers of the entire year, even though most of her improvements started last year, but also as one of the big breakout names that could become world champion in 2026. The third wrestler is someone I will be talking about in tomorrow's video. It's kind of a surprise, but I think everyone can figure it out by now who it is. Then we will be talking about the booking flaws and positives of 2025. And I found 3 big positives and 2, in my opinion, negatives. Let's start off with the positive. It's the rise of young Marigold. If it's Yuzuki, Rhea Seto, Sarah Yamaoka, Yuka Yamasaki, Kizuna Tanaka, and so many more. Sarah Yamaoka, of course. Shina, so many more. All of the names have been getting big spots in 2025, have been all over the important parts of the story, have been getting accomplishments early, and they all feel earned. It feels like something in the young talent range of Marigold is moving, and they want it. They have the hunger to overtake their seniors and everything and want to make the next step. And that is exactly what a young promotion like Marigold needs. They need young talent who want to step up, who are stepping up, and who are delivering to a level where you are becoming undeniable. And in my opinion, especially Yuzuki, especially Seri, are getting there. They are both legitimately great wrestlers that are delivering in every single position they are put into. Another positive, once again, Mai Sakurai is the white belt champion who has been carrying the belt from continuing. The second big positive for me is the handling of the United National title, which had great momentum already in 2024 with a really fun run of Mikoano, and then made the next step in 2025 with Mai Sakurai and Victoria Yuzuki, especially Mai Sakurai, carrying the belt to a level where it legitimately feels like a big deal. And now Yuzuki, as a young Marigold member, can now carry it into 2026, defend it against various wrestlers. And I think overall, it was the most consistently booked well belt in Marigold in 2025. And I think they have done a great job establishing it as a secondary belt, which is tough because at some point, you're reaching, okay, maybe it's falling off but under the Twin Star belt, but it always had its spot on the card, was always booked well, had always an importance in terms of the storytelling, so we can't really say anything negative there. The last big positive, Mayu Iwatani. Is it really a shock? Do I need to say much? She's Mayu Iwatani. She's the best wrestler in the company. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world. She's one of the best wrestlers of all time. She comes in, changes the entire promotion. Not only in terms of output inside the ring, but also her drawing power has been proven really well here. The business of Marigold has been going up, especially in the smaller towns. Also in Kurikan, they have been drawing a lot of numbers, over 1,000 this year. I think they have been doing tremendously in terms of that. And the big reason why is Mayu Iwatani. Now to the flaws. And I'm sorry that I need to put it out like that, but the big flaw of 2025 is the handling of Utami Hayashishita World title reign. It's kind of her own fault, I would say. Well, her own fault sounds kind of mean, but her fault in the sense of her performances weren't as strong as they should have been, but also the storytelling left to be desired. I felt like, especially the parts in the early run of her title run were like really weird with the tank defense and the Busilov stuff. She felt like secondary at first, instantly behind the Nanae Takahashi retirement road. Then she went into the double title match with Iroha, and then she was the semi-main event again, where she lost the belt to Mika Ono. Never felt like Utami was the big star she should have been. Like I said, it was kind of her own fault because she hasn't really stepped up to that level. But also, I feel like the booking has left things to be decided with her. And the second big flaw, in my opinion, and it's a really big flaw, is there were not enough storylines in Marigold, especially for the undercard names. I mentioned the big storylines, and you were kind of wondering, well, I said storylines, but I only mentioned one. And the issue is, I've been thinking about pretty much for like 25, 30 minutes, and I talked to some people. Yeah, what are the big stories that Marigold had in 2025? And outside of Marigold versus Marvelous, there was like really nothing that big. You had the Nanae Takahashi retirement tour that took the first 5 months of the year. Then you had the Marigold versus Marvelous feud in between, at the end of the Nanae retirement run until July. Then you had the Dreamstar. Then you had the build up to the Sumo Hall, which was really weird in my opinion, and especially kind of was flawed at points. And now you are here, post the Sumo Hall show, where pretty much nothing really has happened yet so far. And they are already starting to build up the next title, next pay-per-view in January. And it feels like too early. I don't know. I'm unsure if the four pay-per-views per year schedule is really worth it for Marigold, or if it's a pay-per-view too much, but we'll see that later in the next year when we are heading towards the end of 2026. I personally feel like, especially for the undercard names, they need some more storylines. Like, they have been trying to do this young Marigold storyline that kind of went into nowhere and is picking up sometimes here and there, where a lot of these undercard names would have gained something, like Hisuna, for example, needed to step up and whatever. But they kind of went into, not into nowhere, but in kind of a bit into the background. Instead, they should do more what they did with the Marigold vs. Marvelous storyline, where undercard names like a Hummingbird, like a Nao Ishikawa, and so on, get their chance to show, hey, look, I'm here, this is what I can do, and you can build from that. It doesn't need to be a, how do I say it the best? It doesn't need to be a in detail feud with everything, but something like the Mai Sakurai versus Nao Ishikawa feud. Like 1 month, just a little bit of a build up to a great match is sometimes all you need. And I think things like that would also not only help the talents, the undercard talents to maybe step up the game, but also help the Kurikan Hall cards to look better or help fans to get invested more than just Mayu Iwatani, Mikano, maybe Chikagoto, and 2 or 3 more. Then to the last part of the video, an outlook on 2026. We will be talking quickly about the current Marigold First Dream card in 2026 on January 3rd, as we have 2 matches announced. The GHG Women's title match, Takuri Iwara defends against Mayu Iwatani, and the Marigold World title match between Miku Aono against Mai Sakurai. And the GHG Women's title is quickly explained. Mayu wants the belt because she wants to become the first wrestler to hold the GHG Women's title as well as the IWGP Women's title. She will likely win the belt and will be heading into 2026 as a double champion. It will be interesting considering it's an anniversary year. Her 15th anniversary is coming up at the end of January. She's getting her own Kurikan Hall show. It's going to be interesting what the main event there is. I would expect that Sarai is going to be involved, considering we had the Tokyo Sports bit there. I would imagine that maybe another rival of her, like Rod, something like that, will be in the match, but I don't know. I'm unsure. It will be an interesting year for Mayu Iwatani, I think. As the GHG Women's title, it would also be interesting to see, okay, how will she carry around the Superfly belt when she's a double champion? Because at the pay-per-views, if Ross has a chance to put on the GHG Women's title instead of the Superfly belt, he will always choose the GHG Women's title. So maybe they will use the Superfly belt like right now. Maybe she will just retire it. Vacate it. I don't know. The other match is, of course, the first defense of Miku Ano against Mai Sakurai 1 year after the great white belt match where Mai Sakurai beat Miku Ano, and a rematch also from the Dreamstar final day where they wrestled a 15-minute time limit draw. Miku Ano has kind of adopted a gimmick in the big-time title matches, and like in the big matches, that she is stealing the opponent's finisher to beat them with them. She did it against Nare Takahashi. She did it against Utami. She teased it in the GP match against Mai Sakurai. And I called the finish right after she beat Utami with the high check bump, with the Crusade. She's 100% tapping out Mai Sakurai with the STF. 1000%. You can call that. It will be the first defense of Miku Ano, and it will be an important match for both of them to establish, first of all, Miku Ano as a great champion in her likely pay-per-view main event as first pay-per-view main event as champion, but also to set the road for Mai Sakurai for maybe an eventual rematch in the future, because she should be one of the names to win the belt in the future. What do I personally want from Marigold in 2025? And it kind of made it clear over the video, but to summarize it again, I want especially more focus on wrestlers and storylines. If it's undercard wrestlers, if it's young wrestlers, someone like Yuka Yamasaki or someone like that, they have done a good job elevating them, especially a Rhea Setter, and so on. But they need some more, in my opinion, character development, some more storylines to sink their teeth into, to learn more than, okay, we can wrestle really well. It kind of sounds like Eric Bischoff, I know. I hate myself for that. Now, but I think something like that could help to generate a little bit more of a spark for Marigold. And the other thing is, I kind of said it earlier, I need Mayu Iwatani to move up the card. As great as she is, as fantastic how she looks in ring-wise, and as good as she has been elevating these young talents, I think towards the end of 2026, we should be talking about Mayu Iwatani as a potential name to hold the red belt realistically without her holding a belt that blocks it. Will it work out that way? I don't know. She has a GHG title now soon. I would assume at least so. So she will be likely, I would at least guess so, likely going to hold the belt for a while. But why not? You know, why not winning the red belt in like the end of 2026 at the big sumo show? I think her title win as the big drawing point after the GP would be a great way to end 2026 with a high for her. And so she would have 1.5 years, but she built up the young talents, and then it's time for her to just become a top star. And that is exactly what I expect from her, or want from her in 2026. With that, I would say we end this video right here. 15 minutes. Nice. Funny story. I set a goal of 15 minutes. 15 minutes. 15 minutes for these kind of videos. And this is the first one I'm recording, even before the New Japan one that was coming on day 1. And it goes 50. Perfect, Yannick. That is how you do 24 videos in the next 24 days. Amazing. And with that, I would say, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, a comment down below, support and watch the other videos. With that, bye-bye.